everybody. We're super excited to have you tonight. This webinar is with our president, Dr. Paul Johnson, or as he's more widely known, PCJ. My name is Natalie Waddington, and I'm an admissions counselor here at Colorado School of Mines, and I will be your host for the evening and your MC. But we do have the admission staff in the background for any questions that do pop up throughout the webinar, so feel free. First, we just want to take a moment to thank everyone for being here tonight, and we want to wish you all our sincerest congratulations on your acceptance into Mines. Definitely take a moment to pat yourselves on the back about that accomplishment, because we know how hard you've worked over the past few years to get to this point, and definitely, take a moment of pride in that. And we're super excited that we were able to offer you that acceptance. So the goal of the webinar tonight is just to get a better idea about campus culture, Mines' impacts both on and off campus, and to ask PCJ any questions you might have about what it means to be part of the Ore Digger community. Below, you're going to see a Q&A portion on the toolbar. That's where you can ask any questions directed toward PCJ or towards the rest of the admissions staff that I mentioned earlier. They're going to be working behind the scenes, like I said, to answer any questions that you might have about admissions, financial aid, residence life, or anything like that, any of the kind of like nitty-gritty brass tacks. The admissions staff is going to be more than happy to answer those. And then for PCJ, if you have any questions about research or professional opportunities and stories, campus events and culture, our Mines at 150 initiative, which is going to take place next year, or anything along those lines, please feel free to put those in the chat, and I'm going to post them live to everybody. But we do want to remind you too that this recording is going to be available on our YouTube website within the next couple of days. So at this point, feel free to sit back, relax, and I'm going to hand it over to President Johnson to take it from here.
Hey, thanks, Natalie, and thanks everyone for tuning in here tonight. This is always a lot of fun doing these. I'm going to echo what Natalie said, which is congratulations on being admitted to Mines. To you and your parents, if you got parents hanging around with you tonight as well. We are really grateful that you've applied to Mines. Obviously, I think if you get into Mines, you can get into a lot of different schools. Obviously, you've had a lot of choices, and we appreciate if you've decided to come to Mines, or even if you're still thinking about that a little bit. Hey, I'm kind of curious where you're all zooming in from. So if you could type in the Q&A which parts of the world you're from. I'm guessing at least somebody from Santa Barbara, judging from the names on the people logged in. But we'll see where we're at. Okay, so Henry, we're in California. It's a big state. So give me some towns where all of you are as well. We'll see. Okay, we got Napa. All right. Napa, Dallas, more Texas. Okay, we got the Bay Area covered pretty well. Let's think New York City. Excellent. More California, Santa Barbara, Winter Park. Must be getting some snow right now, I'm guessing, or maybe just did. Steamboat Springs. That's where I was just this weekend. Another Pagosa Springs down south. Hawaii. Which part of Hawaii? Curious for our Hawaii person in there. This is kind of fun always watching to see where people are from. I like this. More Bay Area folks. Got some Midwestern people here. We pretty good. Honolulu, thanks. Yep. All right. It's pretty awesome. Yeah, we got the Northwest. We got everybody. This is pretty good. I always love seeing where people are from, because we have students from all over the place here at Mines. Obviously, we have a pretty strong contingent from Colorado, but roughly half our students come from out of state. Major states that get represented. It's usually California, Texas, Washington, usually the top three after Colorado, and then we've got generally a couple of states in the Midwest are represented from there as well. This is kind of fun. Oh, we got somebody here from Golden, which is awesome. So I'm also curious too, because I'm let's see, where am I from? I was born on the East Coast. Actually went to high school in the Bay Area. So for all the Bay Area folks, shout out for you there. For the Napa folks, I drove through there a lot on the way to the Ski Ranch on the coast. You probably know that. I've lived in and worked in Texas, so got a good contingent of Texas and southeastern people here. I went to school near Sacramento. I just saw Sacramento pop up, so I know that area pretty well. My family lived in Hawaii on Oahu, so for the Honolulu person, good to see you there as well. And I've worked in Arizona as well. My family's kind of all over the place, so I really enjoy Minds because we do have that representation from all over the place, which is really kind of cool. Adds a lot to our community. We just had a couple weekends ago, we just had a big E-Day celebration, which all of you have probably heard about and seen some videos about. We had 104 student teams make cardboard boats that they hopped in to try to make it down Clear Creek, which was pretty neat. We had the best fireworks show I've ever seen put on by our alumni and our pyrotechnics club. Pulled an ore cart down to the Capitol. Pretty neat. And then from here on, it's sort of, really students putting their heads down and getting all their work done before graduation, which will take place in just about two and a half weeks-ish kind of time frame. So, and I'm guessing all of you have high school graduations coming up as well. So congratulations on all of those. Hey, the other thing I'm really curious about for all of you is if you've decided to come to Minds, what was the factor that made your decision? I'm always interested in hearing these. You can type that in. Doesn't have to be a full explanation, but if there's a word or two that describes. Okay, certain community is a great one. Obviously, we're a STEM institution. Culture, absolutely. We've got a great computer science department. Being in Colorado is always a great attractor for people. Got a great mining program here as well. Great STEM school. These are good. Oh, we got looks like we got a student athlete in here as well, which is pretty good. Proximity to family. ROO. Amelia, return on investment. Great job there. ROI. Good school combo. This is pretty good. Oh, somebody had a great experience with the Visit Minds Day, which is terrific as well. And yeah, it kind of looks like you were brainwashed that Minds was the place to be. So these are awesome things. What's always interesting to me is I don't actually ever have to really sell this. If I've got prospective students or students who've decided to come here and I ask them why they come, they pretty much sell the institution for me because they always hit on all those terrific things that make Minds such a great place. Obviously, the community, and I always say to groups of students like this that are coming to Minds the fall, sign up for Ore Digger Camp. That is the start of community building, and I will be there in the Gaga Ball pit with you. Apparently, that's what they always say anyway. And I really love meeting students up there. Clearly, the reputation of the great STEM school has always been there, and we're in our 149th year and next year. So that this fall's incoming class, we're going to declare our 150th year anniversary class. So you get that bragging right that comes with you. And let's see who can be the first person to type in the fancy word for 150th anniversary. You know what that is. We'll see who gets bragging rights on this. Got a lot of letters, so it's hard to spell right too. Well, while you're all thinking that, somebody's looking up on Google right now, I'm sure. What's the 150th anniversary called? We'll see when it pops. Seth with Centennial. All right, Brock, you win. Not quite the right spelling, but close enough. But phonetically, you're in the ballpark. So awesome job there. So that, we've been around for 149 and a third years at this point in time, almost a half. And we're really looking forward to our 150th anniversary celebration next year, which you will all obviously be part of that. I was thinking some of the other things you all typed in that you really liked about Minds. Obviously, beautiful location, a great opportunity for networking. But a few of the other things I'd point out that maybe didn't come up. Certainly, we're a great place for hands-on education. And you're going to see that reinforced really strongly. You will be the first class of students to get to use the brand new Library Innovation Hub. And that's about 35 to 40,000 square feet of maker space. So if you like to make stuff, your freshman design class is going to take place in the Library Inno Hub. When you get to be seniors, your capstone class will take place in there. You get to hang out there at night working on teams and huddle rooms and walls you can write on and things like that. There's a metal shop, a wood shop, a 3D printing area, electronic shop, a virtual software maker place, plus a coffee shop and the home of our McNeil Center for Entrepreneurship and Innovation. So you'll be the first group that gets to use that, which will be pretty awesome. You'll also be the first group to get to use the complimentary Beck Venture Center on campus, which will also open up when you're coming in, which is where you can start companies. So curious if any of you are budding entrepreneurs and you're maybe interested in or already have plans or already thinking about want to be starting your own company. So if you're one of those, go ahead and type in there as well. I'm curious. I've had students in my freshman class who actually started companies before they ever came to Mines, which is I think it's just phenomenal as well. Other things. Oh, here we go. Interested starting small-time business in computer repair. Excellent. We've got folks here who can help you learn the ropes about starting a business. And there's classes you can take. We've got some really cool things in a program called Innovate X, where you don't have to take a class, but so Rochelle, let's see, Rachel, the name of the business center is we've got something called the McNeil Center for Entrepreneurship and Innovation, and then we've got something called the Beck Venture Center. So both of those two things can help. Drone exploration business, that's a great one as well. Great opportunity for robotics and artificial intelligence and all sorts of stuff. And got a program called Innovate X at the McNeil Center. You can like literally take part in innovation challenges for anything between like a day and 3 weeks long. And some student teams have won like $10,000 checks just to keep advancing their ideas, which is pretty neat. Other cool things about Mines, networking. And the other thing I thought I'd mention that I think is really unique to Mines is how much, I think there's two things. One is obviously challenging education, but very supportive. And the second thing is how much effort we put into professional development. And so getting a degree from Mines is not just checking off a series of classes like it is at most universities, but we literally want you to have the resume that's at the top of the pile. And it's not just a good grade that does that, but it really is all the things that you're engaged in on campus. It's this professional development, and we have something called the Viejo Urban Professional Development Program, and you can do workshops through them. They even do a class on dining etiquette in formal settings, where you actually get to go out to get to be treated to dinner, and they teach you everything about whose glass is whose glass, and forks and spoons and all those kinds of things. You learn about doing this, figuring out which is your bread stuff and your drinking stuff, and they teach you all those kinds of things. So it's really just a lot of fun. I think you are going to have a class that is going to have bragging rights for so many things. Obviously, the sesquicentennial year. First classes to use the Library Hub, the Beck Venture Center. First classes who can enroll in some of our newest majors. In the fall, we've got ceramic engineering, starting off in construction engineering as well, two of the newest majors. So we've now got 21, 22 undergraduate majors you can choose from, which is pretty neat, and you can take your time figuring out which ones you want to be. So anyway, I think it's just going to be great. I get really excited whenever I think about the start of a school year, particularly getting to meet people at Order Camp, help them move in, doing convocation, and then of course I always teach a freshman class. So there's 27 or 28 of you is going to get stuck with me for 16 weeks in the fall, which I always have a lot of fun doing. So the last question I have for you, which I just want to make one point through, is do me a favor and type in the box what you like to do other than like go to class and homework? Like, what's the fun stuff that you like to do? Okay, we got some good outdoor activities. We got some writing, coding, and we got some music in here. Got a soccer fan in here. Got some athletes, swimming, tennis, skiing, fishing, snowboarding, video games. We have nobody here who likes video games. No, just kidding. We're actually talking about expanding our esports presence. So if you like that, that's kind of cool. Running, I'll happy to tell you all the great places to run around here. Cycling, I can help you with that as well. Drone flying, that's pretty neat. I like that. We've actually got a lot of athletic kind of things. So these are awesome. I love seeing these things. And the main reason I really ask about this, we got woodworking, cool too. Entomology, cool, awesome. Main reason I ask this is because we want you to bring all those things when you come here to Minds. Okay, it's really important to us that you're kind of a multidimensional student. What really is one of the coolest thing about Minds to me is that you get to bring, like if you're a musician, you can bring that here to Minds. If you're into performing arts, like last weekend, our students were, Mindsville Theater was putting on their spring musical presentation. You can do that here. Obviously, all the outdoor activities are things you can do here really easily as well. And I think about 80% of our students are engaged in athletics, either at the D2 level, club sport level, or intramural level. So that's a pretty good thing as well. But you know, at most other schools, if you were, I don't know, if you went to watch the band play, that's probably mostly music majors, or you picked up the student newspaper, it's probably the journalism majors, or you went to the play, it's the performing arts majors. And so, you know, here you get to do all those things. Everybody that's on, like when you go cheer on the football team, which went to the national championship game last year, or you cheer on the cross country team, which I did at the national championship and they won last year. Those are all engineers. Those are all other students in your classes, which is really neat. When I went to the student play, those are all of our engineers and scientists as well last weekend. This weekend, our symphony orchestra is playing. I'll be going to that. Just all sorts of neat things always happening on campus. It's what the students bring. So that's the other thing I really love about mine. So with that, I'll stop. Maybe I'll stop quizzing you at this point. And maybe we'll field some questions for a bit. That might trigger me to ask you some more questions. But this is so I'm going to teach you a very good skill. So when you come to Minds, if you want to play defense in the classroom, that is, if you're trying to keep the professor from asking you a question, the best thing you can do is ask them a question. So so it's good to develop that skill. And here's a chance for you to practice right now by asking whatever questions you want to ask about Minds that we can try to answer for you. So go for it.
How about while some people are posing their questions, I have a question kind of going off of what you were talking about, PCJ. You talked a little bit about CSM 101. Would you mind explaining that a little bit more and your role as a professor in that, but also just what its purpose is within the student's education?
Yeah, sure. That's a great question. So CSM 101 is a class all of you will take. I actually was describing today my role in that class today to somebody, and I said my job is to coach you through your first semester, to get you from your first day of class to the last day of the semester, not just in my class, but through all of your classes, so you get to the end of the first semester successfully. That's what it's all about. So what does it take to do that? It's obviously making sure you're aware of the resources on campus. We do a behind the scenes tour of the career fair that takes place in the fall. If you're in my class, you come over to my house for breakfast a couple times. It's really just, and you develop a really close relationship with these, 25 to 30 students in your class. in addition, there's 2 peer mentors. And the 2 peer mentors are upper class students who are really there to provide the student perspective on how to be successful at Minds. And actually tomorrow at lunch, I'm taking out my 2 peer mentors from this fall for pizza at Woody's Pizza. Great pizza just off campus here. And they're graduating in a few weeks. And I want to give them a good send off and see how they're doing. So that's the best way I can probably describe CSM 101 and what I do anyway.
Awesome. Well, thank you. And kind of off of what you were just talking about too, we do have a question about careers and networking post-grad. So one of our questions is, what is the network of CSM graduates like when job searching? If you could talk a little bit more about that, maybe the career fair itself.
Yeah, good question from Santa Barbara Association of Realtors. So when you come to Minds, you are going to run across Minds alumni all the time. So, and you're going to have the ability to build a network with those alumni, which will help you in job hunting. But I'll just give you a few examples. So, for example, in the fall and the spring, we have a career fair, which is a 2-day each time because so many companies come, we can't fit it in one day. More than half the people on the other side of the tables that are recruiting our graduates are our alumni. And so you will see them there pretty easily. They have a special sort of name tag on them that identifies them as an alum. They just love helping out the next generation find their jobs in Minds. You're going to, if you participate in our the professional development program that I talked about, you go to the workshops and things like that, you're going to find out that the speakers, and in fact, the folks who sponsored the program financially, they're Minds alumni as well. So you're going to bump into graduates everywhere when you're doing a job hunt. And in fact, oftentimes our alumni will be hunting out new graduates from Minds to help fill the positions in their companies because they know the success that they have. So you have an opportunity not only to build your network while you're here by just participating in events and the programs that we have. You're going to run across them in career fair. You're going to bump into them when you do internships. And we have an alumni association group who can help make connections for you if you want an alumni mentor, for example. So all sorts of different ways of connecting, which I think is one of the beauties of Minds. It's the strength of that network. How's that? Was that a good answer?
Yeah, that was great. No, that was awesome. Very thorough. I think that it paints a really awesome picture of the career fair, especially. But stepping like a couple steps backwards, we have a question about getting some advice on choosing a major. If they're a little unsure right now, how that path kind of plays out and what you would recommend.
Yeah. So number one, I would say don't feel rushed. So that's the first thing. Don't more than half of our students change majors at least once when they're at Minds, and the way that we're set up, we make it so you can do that. So a lot of other schools, you kind of get admitted into a major, and it's pretty hard to transfer out of that major into another one. So you come to Minds, you can major in whatever you want to, which I really happen to like. The second thing is in the CSM 101 class, one of the class meetings is something called a major panel. And the peer mentors invite in their friends that represent a range of majors who will talk about how they chose the majors that they chose. So that's another opportunity. The other thing is all of these sort of extracurricular activities that I was mentioning that our students are involved in. Every one of our majors has a professional society, and each of those professional societies host seminars and talks and workshops. And so you can just kind of like sample from various things and hear about those as well. Frequently, your peers, and one of the reasons we like you to connect to students who are ahead of you at Minds, I call it sort of vertical connectivity. So when we do Ordiger Camp, you're going to meet the camp counselors who are all ahead of you at Minds. When you have your one-on-one class, you have peer mentors who are ahead of you at Minds. So you have the opportunity to talk to other students about how they made their choice for their majors as well. And on top of that, We've got advising for students, faculty have their doors open. You can talk to them at any time. So if you get out and you take advantage of what's there, I do think eventually you reach a point where you're pretty comfortable in your choice of a major. So, but the first thing is, don't worry if you haven't chosen one yet. You got plenty of time to figure out, and plenty of opportunities to learn about the various majors that we have.
Great. Thank you for that. Kind of on that same note, we have another question specifically about grad school. So I know, like, choosing a major is the beginning and then possibly networking for the professional world, but there's, that kind of middle in between of like the grad school side of things. So what do we offer both at Minds, but also what does Minds help students do to pursue their professional paths in graduate school afterwards at Minds or elsewhere?
Excellent question. I always like people who are thinking that, one or two steps ahead. So that's pretty neat. So a few things. Number one is at Minds, we offer the full suite of graduate degrees. So we offer master's degrees, both thesis and a non-thesis. So a non-thesis is basically coursework, and a thesis you're doing a project with a faculty member. We offer PhD degrees, and we offer them in many interdisciplinary topics as well. So you could get a graduate degree in advanced energy systems, for example, with an undergraduate degree in electrical engineering. So those all exist. We have a great 4+1 program opportunity for students. So if you take advantage of that, you can count basically 2 of your classes as an undergraduate student towards your master's degree. And that allows you to finish up that master's degree in basically 2 additional semesters at Minds. So a number of our students do that, and you can, again, sort of couple an undergraduate degree. You could get a degree in mechanical engineering and something completely different in the master's level. So all those opportunities are there, and really you don't have to figure that out till, probably junior year. You need to be thinking about what you're going to be doing from that perspective. Our students also go to other schools for graduate school, and sometimes we encourage that. In fact, my 2 peer mentors that I'm having lunch with tomorrow at Woody's Pizza, not that I'm advertising for them or anything, but one of them is going off to University of California, Davis, and another one is staying here to do his master's degree here in the nuclear engineering program. So one of the things I would encourage all of you to find, if you're curious about where our students go, either from an employment perspective or a grad school perspective, our Career Center puts out an annual report, and they list all the graduate schools that our students go to, and they're all the top schools in the country, in addition to Minds. And they also list all the industries that our students go to work for when they graduate. So they give a great idea of where everybody ends up when they graduate from Minds. And I just saw this from anonymous attendee. Yeah, absolutely. Minds has quite a few PhD programs here. So.
Great. Yes, thank you. And kind of on that note too, we have questions about research opportunities. Obviously, Minds is very well known for its research, both in state and nationally, and even internationally. So if you could talk a little bit about research opportunities, even your first year, and then how that changes and progresses throughout your time at Minds.
Sure, great question. I might invite our provost in on this one here in a second. But there are a number of ways as an undergraduate you can get engaged in research at Minds. There are also opportunities in the first year to do that. So I've known students who've gotten involved as freshmen. I've known students who've gotten involved at other places along the line, and we have folks who help mentor you during your first research experience. And we have sort of a credentialing of sorts that you can get if you're actively engaged in research as an undergraduate at Minds. I always thought when I went to school that research was this very mysterious thing. It ended up when I went to school that I did have an undergraduate research experience. I just sort of got very lucky to do that. Opened my eyes to what that was about. I ended up doing that my junior and senior year as an undergraduate. And I think that ultimately probably led me into pursuing a research-based career of sorts. But we happen to have our provost, Dr. Rick Holtz, here on the call as well, and he's been very involved in expanding the breadth of opportunities here for research for undergraduate students. And Rick, I don't know, you want to just sort of mention a couple things real quick for people?
Sure, I'm happy to. So, hi everyone, great to see you, great to be with you. We also have what we call our MRF program. So it's for undergraduate research that students can apply to various projects that are posted and then get connected with a research lab, and they actually earn a little bit of money at the end of that. And it just culminated this semester in a large poster session that we had where students presented the work that they've been doing throughout the academic year. So that's a great program to get involved in. I had a student as well in that program. We also have another undergraduate research program called the SURF program. So that's the summer undergraduate research program. And we are right now, students are applying for various projects that are available. So faculty post projects and then students apply to those projects, and we match student interest with faculty projects that are available, and then get the students in the laboratory to work on those projects over the summer. So there, as Paul said, President Johnson, there are plenty of opportunities for students to do undergraduate research. And as I always tell my CSM 101 class, that if they are interested in doing undergraduate research but are not quite sure who to ask or how to approach a faculty member, that to come and chat with me, and I'm more than happy to introduce them to a faculty member that they might be interested in working with. And I think all the CSM faculty are more than happy to help introduce you to a faculty member that you might want to be engaged in research with.
Great, thanks, Rick.
Great. And I guess for both of you, since we're on this train, we are getting a few questions and ideas about, balancing research and academics and social life. So as professors, from CSM 101, could you guys talk a little bit about, some recommendations you might give, or, just advice of balancing all of these different opportunities that are going to be at our students' doors?
Yeah, that's a great question. Again, both Rick and I teach first-year students in their first semester at Mines, and we certainly recognize that there tends to be sort of a hesitance on many students' part about doing anything more than just sort of like focusing on classes in that first semester. We're a little worried that if I get involved in these other things, will that make my my academic performance suffer in some way or whatever. And what you will hear certainly from Rick and myself, probably every time that you hear from us, which will be at Orator Camp, and if you happen to be one of the 56 students that's in one of our 2 classes, you're going to hear us say, get involved in stuff outside of class right away. There is time for that. My experience from many years of watching this happen is that students' academic performance actually tends to go up as they get more involved in things outside of class. They learn time management skills a bit better. That those connections outside of class helps develop a network of people who can help you with things if you have trouble with a particular homework assignment or something like that. And in fact, on the first Friday after classes start, we have something called Celebration of Minds. And at Celebration of Minds, all of the student organizations set up out on the intramural fields, and they all have a table and sign-up sheets, and they've got some students there who can talk about what their particular student organization does. And it's actually a homework assignment in our CSM 101 class that you have to go there and actually take a picture of yourself at a few of the tables, showing that you've had conversations with people, because we like to make sure that happen. There's also some free swag, which is really good, to do those as well. But these things that students get involved in, they can be professional society, they might be, they could be club sports teams, but they might also be something like, ballroom dancing, or Minds Maker Society, which made this thing for me, which we used to shoot these guys out in the audience during graduation ceremonies. So there's just Mind's Little Theater that I mentioned earlier as well, musical groups, just lots of things to get involved with. But if all you do is sort of sit in your room, do your homework, and go to classes, it's not a lot of fun. Certainly not as much fun as you could have. And so we definitely encourage people from their first semester forward, get out there, find something fun to get involved with. Usually, if you talk to students here, they're involved in 3 or 4 things outside of class. Typically, there's some kind of outdoor activity, physical activity that they're involved with. Typically, there's a professional society they're involved with. Typically, there's something that you wouldn't even expect that Rick or I wouldn't even know what it is. That they're also. I mean, we've got the medieval arts sort of fighting group that's out on the commons every once in a while, and I mean it's many hundreds of student things to get involved with, and they're all fun. You're all going to meet great people, and your academic work will get better if you get involved in it. I don't know, Rick, what's your favorite group to encourage people to be involved with, Rick?
Oh, I love the solar decathlon, or the concrete canoe, the bridge building design club, the mining club. But one of the best ones is the rocket club. I've heard that they're building a rocket. They want to actually get the rocket outside of our atmosphere. I'm not exactly sure how they're going to do that or where they're at in that project, but that's one of the things a student told me they're working on. So there's all kinds of fun things. I really enjoyed watching the robot battles that we had last fall, where our freshmen built robots and then fought it out. So there's a lot of really fun things to do. I would comment on the workload, and because I actually have a daughter who's a freshman here at Mines right now. And so we will generate schedules. So that will happen in July sometime, once we have all your AP credits accounted for. And students have anywhere between 13 to 15 credit hours generally. So 4 to 5 classes. You tend to have plenty of time to study during the day or in the evenings. Obviously, there may be times when you have to do some work on the weekends as well. So very much like probably the work all of you put in at high school. But my daughter has certainly found plenty of time to join a sorority. She plays intramural softball, getting involved in other clubs on campus. So I think there's all kinds of opportunities in that, you're not coming here to study 24/7. Obviously, you'll have to do your homework, and there's work to do just like there is in high school. But there's also a great community, and we want you to meet people and get involved. And because, as we always say, Mines is a team sport. We want you to work with your colleagues and get connected in Mines, both with students in your own grade as well as upper class students as well.
I like the ice cream club.
Yeah, the ice cream club is awesome. They're at everything too. It's awesome.
Or the cheese club.
Yes, the charcuterie club. That is one that we have. Yes. Yep. And you get the nice crackers too. It's an experience. Definitely recommend it. So I guess we started this whole call with PCJ, asking our students why they wanted to come to Mines or what initially drew them to apply. So how about we flip that and ask you why you decided to come to Mines and your story. And then Rick, if you would also like to tell your story and what brought you to Mines, that would be great.
Sure, I'll be happy to start, and then Rick will say something more intelligent. But so my Mines story is first of all, I wasn't smart enough to come here as an undergraduate. So you're all much brighter than I am. My only way to get to Mines is actually to be president. So somehow that worked out. But I was kind of invited to come up here 8 years ago, actually this month, and I had been actually in Arizona for 21 years before that, and pretty deep roots there. And but I saw this really cool school up here that it is a size that I love because you get to know people. It has a focus that a very clear mission, right? We just produce great graduates. That's and new innovations and new knowledge and we do that in all the things the world really cares about. I mean, energy and infrastructure and security and health and so all the things that are important to the world, like we do here. But and of course it's in a beautiful location, and I'm a very outdoors person. So all of you said that you like to run and you like to bike and you like to swim. I'm with you. I realized what a unique opportunity this was. Like this was like a once in a lifetime place. There really isn't another place like Minds. It was for me a once in a lifetime opportunity. Like for many of you, as your admission to Minds is kind of a once in a lifetime opportunity. What ultimately sold me is my wife and I came up here, and you'll get to meet Elise as well at Ordiger Camp, and Ember, our dog, who goes to Ordiger Camp as well. But we came up on a secret trip and we walked around campus, and we didn't tell anybody we were coming up to check it out. But we sat down in Brown where students study. We went down. We had pizza at Woody's Pizza. We just kind of hung out on the commons where the students were slacklining and hanging out and everything. And it was, again, actually just about this week, 8 years ago. And we looked at each other and we just said, we really like the feel of this place. And great things are going to happen here. And it would be really cool to be part of that. And if they're silly enough to invite me to come up and be president, you know, we better take advantage of that before they change their mind. So that's why we came up. So how about you, Rick?
Well, I echo everything you said. That, you know, just I was so excited to get the opportunity to interview. I've been here for 4 years now, and I just think that I won the lottery, which actually is something when I was working on my application, I read in a news article that was about Paul. He actually said that he and Elise felt they won the lottery when they came to Minds, and I felt exactly the same way to have the opportunity to come here. Well, things that impress me are you all. Our students are incredible, and you know, I love talking to our students, and you can spend 15 minutes chatting with our students, and I get so excited over all of their ideas, their enthusiasm, the excitement for projects they're working on. I mean, this week and next week are really special when we get to see all of the capstone and cornerstone projects that our students have worked on over the course of the year. And that's just one of the best times for me as a provost during the whole year. The other thing I'd say that really attracted me to Minds is our faculty. So I was so impressed with all the work, like Paul described, the work in all the areas that really matter to society today. And our faculty are working on that. Plus we have NREL very close, the National Energy Research Lab, very close to us, which we collaborate closely. And there's just so many research opportunities. I oftentimes ask myself, why in the world did I become a chemist? Why wasn't I a physicist or a quantum engineer or an electrical engineer? There's just so many interesting things going on here from a research perspective that I really like. The other thing I thought was incredible was, you know, the job fair that we have. I mean, last fall, what was it, 340 companies were here in the fall, Paul, and then in the spring, we had another 230 or 40 companies in the spring interviewing our students, so that we have around 92% of our students plus have jobs when they graduate. And the average starting salary is over $73,000 last year. So the return on investment is amazing. So you look at, you know, everything from our faculty, our students, our facilities, where we're located, and the ability to get a great job walking out the door. And I just thought Minds is just a really special place that I wanted to be a part of that community.
Awesome. Thank you both for that. Kind of going along those lines, we did get a couple of comments about how growing up in Colorado, you hear about how mythically magical, I believe were the words, that Mines, the reputation that Mines has. So I guess going onto our 150th year, like what are some of the things that, we're taking with us throughout these 150 years that we're changing, that we're hoping to bring into the university? Maybe you could just talk a little bit about the culture there and what we're hoping to do with our future.
Sure, that's a great question, and that's something we've been working pretty hard on. I think big picture, what we're doing is we're trying to take all the things that made Minds great, and anticipating what the future is going to be like and what the needs are of the future, and making sure that we're evolving to always sort of be there. This is the grandfather clock in my office that was actually made by a previous president. That's what that noise was. But so what are some of those great things that have always made Minds terrific? Well, we were established to really provide, a long time ago, it was to provide mining engineers and metallurgists for the industry. And of course, we've become much more than that over time, but this notion of always producing sort of an industry ready graduate that can actually do stuff has always been part of what Minds is about. Having those very close relationships with industry to make sure that our programs are teaching the things that industry values. So again, we want your resume to be top of the pile when you're graduating. Hands-on experiences. This is something that many schools can't do at all because they're too big to do it or they're too small to do it. But we're kind of the right size, and it's very important to us that you actually you're learning fundamentals, but you're having these very practical hands-on experiences that complement them. That's always been a part of the Minds education. And of course, we teach you resilience and we teach you how to respond to challenge, and we teach you to feel confident enough to just totally go and tackle things that you never even took a class on. And of course, always working on those things that are important. So those are that's a lot of what we take from the past up to this point that we're carrying into the future. And then we're looking at, okay, what does the future engineer really need to be, right? And so we get a lot of feedback from companies that, business acumen is going to be more and more important for engineers. So guess what? We're adding that to all your programs. Not everybody's going to go work for a big company. Some people want to start their companies. So guess what? We're adding all this stuff about entrepreneurship and innovation, and you can learn what it takes to start up a company and a network to build, doing those kinds of things. What are some of the cool things that are out there in the future, right? Obviously, you may have seen we have a program that's really related to space exploration and picking up resources in outer space and building things. So we can travel farther and farther away from the Earth. That's a pretty cool thing that's out there. We've added a quantitative bioscience engineering degree here at campus because we know that how important that is to the future. So you can see the expanding of our programs at the graduate level. You see all these interdisciplinary programs. You see the way that we're teaching. It's still at the undergraduate level, in person, hands-on. At the graduate level, there's more opportunities to take things remotely if you need to from where you're working. So I just, again, we want to make sure we're kind of at those frontiers of what's going on. So when you come to Minds, you graduate, you're ready for 30, 40 years of career success, whatever you decide to do. So I don't know, Rick, anything else you want to add to that?
I think you said it perfectly, Paul. I don't have anything to add.
All right. Well, yeah, thank you for that. And everybody, feel free to get on our website and look at our Minds at 150 initiatives. It's a really great way to get to know the university a little bit more and what PCJ is talking about. But we have about 10 minutes left of the webinar, so I want to make sure that our questions get answered. We have a couple that I think are going to be pretty fun to answer. The first one is, where does Blaster live?
Well, that's in my backyard. No, not really. I always wish Blaster was in my backyard on campus. I've tried to get him there frequently, but Blaster actually lives pretty close to campus. Within actually just a few miles to the east of us. So, and you will see Blaster at all of the football games. So anytime we score in a football game, Blaster, along with one of our student groups, Blue Key, runs up and down the field. You might actually see me do that once or twice during a football season. I know I did it in the last football game last year. You'll see Blaster will be at usually at convocation. So when you're moving in, get a chance for photos with Blaster. Your graduation ceremony Blaster will be there. Homecoming Blasters hanging around. So you get plenty of opportunities to get some good photo shots and to hang out with Blaster, who I happen to feel is like the absolute coolest, just totally awesome mascot that any university could have. You just can't help but like want to go give Blaster a hug. And just be proud that that's your mascot.
And can you pet Blaster? That was the most important question of them all. Can you pet Blaster?
You can pet Blaster. Actually, you can get a picture like hugging Blaster. You can, if you join Blue Key Honor Society, you can actually get to run with Blaster. You get to take care of Blaster. You get to be like Blaster's handler, which is super cool. So yeah, Blaster's a very interactive mascot, and he happens to love the attention.
Yeah, we're very fortunate that we have a mascot that we can bring to football games, because some schools can't say the same thing with certain animals. And then we do have a really awesome question that I want to make sure that we get to, kind of going back to that Minds at 150 and just what Minds does, bigger picture is community engagement. So what is Minds' role, both just in Colorado, in Golden, and then, even bigger than that?
Yeah, great question. So we encourage all of our students to not just be citizens of Minds, but to be citizens of Golden, to be citizens of the state of Colorado, and to take advantage of all those things. So one of the first things that you do on the first weekend that you're here at Minds is a community service project out in the Golden community. So you get to know, you get to interact with some folks out in Golden. You get to know just the layout and everything pretty well. And it's all to help you develop this sense of being part of the Golden community, not just the Minds community. All of our student organizations do some sort of philanthropy and student service, particularly the fraternities and the sororities and other student organizations. So you get other opportunities to be engaged as kind of like a volunteer community member or a volunteer member of the state. There's also great opportunities just to explore Colorado and to really develop a love for what's here in the state. We have an outdoor recreation center that hosts trips, camping trips, hiking trips, skiing trips. They rent out equipment at pretty low prices for all of those kinds of things. So you get an opportunity to really sort of feel like you are part of the state, and you certainly develop a feeling that you are part of Golden, and Golden is home for you when you're here at Minds. And the community really appreciates our students because we just have, just such great quality students here. You really know that when you walk around, and the Golden community certainly appreciates that. So.
Paul, I wonder if you want to comment about the shuttle system that'll be in place so students will have access to Denver on the train system.
Yeah, that's a great point, Rick. So we're working right now on a shuttle system that's sort of jointly, I don't want to say run isn't quite the right word, but in partnership with Golden and the student and the university, and it'll be a way that if you don't have a car, I saw there's some questions about cars and things like that. If you happen to not have a car here, you're going to be able to get to the light rail station. Denver's only, 8 miles away from Minds. You can't see it because we've got these table mountain things in the way, but you can pretty easily head down to Denver as well and take advantage of all the things that take place in a big city while you're living in a pretty small community.
Thank you both. So one last final question, kind of the catch-all question here that's been sitting for a while, but what is one piece of advice that you would give each of our students? I know you talked a little bit about getting involved in academics, but college is a huge transition, especially at 18 years old, 18 years old. So what is one piece of advice each of you would give to our incoming class?
Rick, you want to start?
Sure. Since we already talked about getting involved, I would say my piece of advice, and I hope I'm not taking yours, Paul, is that don't worry about your GPA. I realize all of you are, phenomenal students in high school and have probably, top in your class. But, here, it doesn't matter if you're 4.0. What matters is the projects you're working on, the teams you've been a part of, the places you've gotten involved, your undergraduate research program, so it's not critical to be a 4.0 student because all of our students end up with jobs at the end of their degree programs. So the biggest, and as Paul usually says, that our employers spend, maybe a minute looking at your address and your GPA, but they really want to know what have you done and what projects have you worked on and what experiences have you had? So that really kind of comes full circle to getting involved and working on all of those things.
That's pretty good. Yeah, Rick, you did steal my, no. So I'll come up with a couple other things. Number one, if you can, go to OrDear Camp. That is the best way to launch your mind's experience. You're gonna instantly have 200 other students that you'll meet through activities there. You'll automatically instantly have connections to upper class students. When you move in, you'll feel like you're already part of things. It just completely takes away that sort of nervousness that comes with things. So if you can go to OrDear Camp, go to OrDear Camp. But broader picture, take advantage of everything that's here. You're going to get a great education. We're going to keep you pretty busy with coursework and stuff, but really your development as a person and as a professional and the network that you're going to build really just, is going to come about because of all those other things that you get engaged with. So, really do those things. And if I could say one other thing, watch the Daily Blast. That's the email that comes out every day. It lists all the really cool things going on campus. And every once in a while, you'll see in there an opportunity for pizza with the president. And sign up for that because I'd love to meet you for there. And if you just want to have coffee, just send me an email. I will treat you to coffee. I just want to hear your story and see how things are going. So don't be afraid to do those things even.
All right. Well, thank you so much, President Johnson. We really appreciate your time. Same to you, Provost Holtz. It's so great to see both of you and to do this webinar. I just want to say a couple things, reminders from the admissions office. May 1st is the commitment deadline. So please, 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 if you plan on coming to Minds, submit that stuff in literally as soon as you get off the webinar today. That would be a great help to us, a great help to you. But we're here to answer any questions that you guys might have. Feel free to reach out to any of us. We want to make sure that this is a good experience and that you feel really confident coming in the fall, because we know that we want to have you on campus come August and even maybe sooner with some of our programs. But thank you all. Have a wonderful rest of your evening. And again, we're around if you ever need us. But May 1st, keep that dateline, that date in your mind because it's coming up real fast. All right, everybody have a good night. Thank you so much.